Share. Okay. Alrighty, so there are obviously, as you know, two ways to get into Docusign. I'm going to go directly into Docusign because we're going to be talking about envelopes, so this isn't necessarily opportunity specific. So let me just get in here. Maybe, there it goes. Sorry, it's taking a minute to get us signed in here. There it goes. All right, so there are two ways to send envelopes. I'm going to show you the first way. It's the same whether you're in this home screen or you're in your Docusign room specific to an opportunity. Either way, it's the same basic process. And the reason I'm going to show you both is because if you do choose to use the front entry, this e-signature way, you can move them, and I want to make sure that you guys know how to move them. So when you click on the second tab here that says manage when you're on this screen, you're going to see that you have all sorts of envelopes. Now just know that these all actually originated in a room. This is just showing me some of the ones that I have, and I have the option of moving them. I'm going to start a new one, and I'm going to send an envelope. It's just taking a minute. Now, when you do something through this particular route, know that your only options are to upload or use a template. Because you're not in a room, there aren't any documents that you've added to a room, so therefore you cannot select any from your room. That being said, say that you are doing a referral, you can come here, you can say shared with me. There it goes. And we're going to scroll down for the referral information form. And sorry, my little box here is like in the way. And then I'm going to add. And then you can put whoever you need to be. I'm going to put myself so that this is an example. And this is a referral information form. This is what it looks like. Anybody who's done referrals for outside is probably familiar with this. This is something that you should fill out prior to actually sending your person's information to a referral agent, so that way you have a document that is signed stating that they will compensate you for the referral. So that's there, and then you can hit next. And it will show you the text fields for you to fill out. To fill out any text fields in here, you simply double click and it will become a textable field. So I'm going to send this. And that's what it's going to look like. And if for whatever reason you have a lot of text and it doesn't seem to be fitting, know that you have formatting options. So when you are in one of these text boxes, this is actually something that came up the other day. On a contract, there was certain verbiage that needed to be included, and it was quite lengthy. And it didn't quite fit in the area that was provided. So we had to do some formatting, which meant that we took the oops, somebody's trying to come in. Didn't type. So whatever your words are here, I can format them to a different font and change the size to allow for more to fit or whatever it is that you actually need it to look like. So some people are just like, I don't like that text. I know that Crystal has mentioned that there is a certain font that Kristen does not like. So she does all of her templates and makes sure that the formatting is to what she would like her formatting to be. And that includes the font. So know that that is available there. You cannot white out. So this is one of the things that also is confusing for people. These boxes are transparent, kind of like a PNG when you have overlaying and you want that clear background. Well, these are all clear background boxes. So if it says kitchen sink here and you're like, oh, no, she wants bathroom sink, if you add a text box over this, it's going to just overlap the writing and neither one will be legible. So that's not an option here. You would have to literally cross it off or start a new one in order to change something of that nature. And then I'm gonna hit send. And since I'm the signer, it gives me the option of signing now. If you are the first person who is listed as a signer or needs to view, it will prompt you to do that right away if you've listed yourself first. So when you're doing order of operations for your who needs to sign when, just make sure you're paying attention to that, because if you don't put yourself first, you would have to wait for the other people to sign before you signed or viewed. So you just want to make sure that that's happening. So I'm just going to click OK. There's not really anything for me to sign, so I'm just going to hit finish. Okay, so you can see here that I now have this completed PDF form in this manage spot, right? So this is one way to create an envelope that allows you to receive signatures and it is not affiliated with a room. If you have met with someone and you have gotten, say a buyer, and you have gotten a buyer brokerage agreement and they say that they would like to sign with you and you want to send them a buyer brokerage agreement, but you haven't put them into your database as a contact yet. Or you haven't started an opportunity for that person yet, or you have started an opportunity, but you have not actually started the transaction button within your opportunity to start a Docusign room for them. This is something that you can use as a tool in your tool belt. It should not be the first go-to, but you can do this. And then that way, when you correctly start an opportunity, you simply have to move this envelope into your room. So that is one of the things that I wanted to, this is the reason behind one of the reasons I want to show you this. Basically, I have seen a few people who have actually started rooms and been sending these through that room. And then come to find out they now need to submit forms for compliance, but their room is not connected to their opportunity because that's not how they started it. I want you to know that this is here and this is a way to do it, that if you haven't started a room that's connected through command, that you can still send things for signatures and then just relocate that envelope once that room is connected. That is the best way to do that if you haven't started a Docusign room through command. Like I said, it just kind of helps you out, because if you start a room and you have all these documents and things in that room, you'll have to start all over when you actually start a transaction and create a room through your opportunity. It's just, it's a better form of practice if you're going to be signing things and you haven't started a room. So I am going to go ahead and switch to rooms. And like I said, Docusign is just taking a moment, so it will load. Okay, so I often use my PDFs here, room, as my example because I have the most amount of documents and different types of documents within it, so it's easiest to work with. So I'm going to go to envelopes. You're going to see I have a plethora of envelopes here. correct? So you'll see I have some completed, some void, some drafts, but I don't have that document or the envelope that I just sent, correct? So I'm going to go to Actions. And I'm going to click on the second button down. It has a little pen next to it that says Add Existing Envelopes. When I do that, it will give me the option of sorting. I can sort by the last year, 6 months, 30 days, a week, or 24 hours. It most of the time auto defaults to the last week because it assumes that whatever you are doing, it will have been somewhat recent. So it will show me all of the envelopes for that week. If you gave it a name that you know you're going to be able to search by, you can also just search by the envelope name. So here is the one that I just completed with you. I'm going to select it and hit Add. All right. Now that envelope that I created outside of the room, because I hadn't started this yet, has now been relocated to my room. Phantasmal. Well, the question really becomes, what happens to the documents that were signed in that envelope since it has not been signed in the room? When you click on the Documents tab, it will show up down here under your room docs. So I'm just going to boop, boop, doo, doo. There we go. So here is my signed referral form and the original flat PDF. So I have those two, and if I click on it, it will show you in a second. There you go. It will show you this is the form that we filled out. It's the one that I approved, and here is the certified document for it. So I can move this one here to my certified documents folder because all of you have a certified documents folder if you created it, which I highly recommend you do because otherwise it makes your folders very, very messy. And after you move something, as you're all aware, it will take a second to reload and then you will be able to peruse back through. So now I have this referral form and I'm going to do the signed one. I'm going to move that to my miscellaneous folder. What? Tiffany, you slacker. How do we add a folder? Let's add folder. I didn't have a miscellaneous folder. I must have, oh, see, I did. I lied. I was gonna say, I must have deleted it for, there it is. Move. Okay, so now the documents that I signed under the e-signature have been relocated to the room now that I have created the room. I have moved my certified doc. I have put my signed copy in my miscellaneous folder. And now when I go to command, the opportunity that is connected to this room will now have access to the documents in that folder or in that envelope. So this is the other thing to consider. An envelope can be moved multiple times, but it can only reside in one place. That means that if you do send that envelope through the management tab, because you haven't created your room yet, and you relocate it to this room, you have to move and you decide to move it to another room, say you're doing both sides, you can't have the same envelope residing in two places. So you will have to actually either send it again for the other signatures for your other side, or you'll have to just have a duplicate of that form to the signed form, download it as a PDF and put it into the other room. So if there is a scenario where you're doing two sides and you need the same document for both, just know that the envelope itself will never reside in two rooms. They will have to be two different envelopes. So any questions on that before I'm gonna make you guys bigger again. Any questions on that stuff before we talk further on envelopes, about the moving them around? Oh, okay. In that case, just give me a second. I'm gonna write something down. Collins, Stacy, and Jean. Huh? He's Jean. Shelby is his real first name. His name is Shelby Eugene. Sorry, I was just taking attendance, and Jalen was like, "Don't forget Shelby." I said, "That's who Jean is." Okay, so in that case, for envelopes, when you are in here, just like we were talking about in the management tab, you can create new. This one, unlike the other one, will not have a blue upload button, but a room docs button. So this means that it will give you the option of pulling in any documents that you have in your room. So if there is a particular form that you need to work from and you have not added it to your room, you cannot add it here. This is not the place. You have to add the documents. I'm just going to save and close so I can show you. You have to make sure that the documents have been added here through your Docusign forms before they will be available here in the envelopes section. Now, with that being said, there are templates that we as your office, as your market center, have created for you so you have access to them, but they are not a form. One of them is the lovely and often used blank addendum, which is not a Docusign form. That being said, it is still available to you. It is available under a use a template. You'll see I have a couple of templates that I myself have made as an example for when I do the templates class, which will be next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Shared with me, however, is the ones that Sherry has created for you as the market center. Those are the ones that you would like to go to. If you go to if you open this under the My Templates and you haven't created any, it will be blank. But there are templates for you to use. It's just the shared with me that you have to switch to. And you're going to see here, like the fourth one down is the blank addendum. So when you hit add selected, it will load that blank addendum, and there you go. So that's what it will look like. You will have the option to add text and to do whatever you need once you go to the next button. Hold on one second. We've got to. Okay,
hey,
and
Tiffany,
she's working on getting it added to Docusign. Yeah, who said that? Who said my name?
it was Stacy. Hi. So the blank addendum, can I do that? I can still add that in the room. I've just had hiccups with it when I needed it, and it was always on a weekend or something, so I didn't want to call anybody.
No, so that's the thing about templates. So when you're in documents, you can add forms, or if you have the document as a PDF saved on your desktop or in your Google Drive, anything like that, you can add it from any of those locations. But a template is not something that you can put into your Documents tab. A template can only be used in your envelopes. So if you need a blank addendum and you are looking to, I don't know, write that the owner wants to keep the refrigerator or, you know,
Right.
want your flat screen, I don't know. Whatever it is that the person is looking for that you would need a blank addendum, the only place you can access it is in your templates, in the envelope. Like I said.
Well, no wonder I haven't been able to find it. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So with that being said, if you have this downloaded as a PDF on your desktop, which I highly recommend to anybody who's looking for it, you can also select one of these, and also, I'm not signed in at the moment, otherwise it would auto-populate it, but you can also select that you want to upload it, and it will pull up your desktop options for you to load as a PDF as well. Now, why would that be something that I would recommend? The reason that I recommend that is because say you need 2 blank addendums. you cannot add 2 blank addendums to the same envelope. It will not let you. So if I go back to use template and I say shared with me, it will eventually load, I promise. There we go. Oh, did they fix it? Oh, they fixed it. That's amazing. Okay, as of last week, you couldn't do that. You were not able to add 2 blank addendums, but now I guess you can. So that actually makes your life a lot easier. Before, I was having people just have to add it as a PDF and then put the text boxes in, because you couldn't do that as of last week when I was troubleshooting with Marcy. But now it looks like it will let you, so that's actually really exciting. Wow, that's really exciting. Okay, I'm gonna add another one. If we make a template for ourselves, we do it with just like the text box, blank text boxes already in there. And then Jalen is in person in our class today, and she is asking me a question about the creating a template of the blank addendum. And what was your question?
So these ones, there's no text boxes already on there. If we made this as a template ourselves and added the text box where we needed like the text for the name and the property address, would that like show up as a form then?
No. So her question is, there were no text boxes. Hold on one second, it's loading. There it goes. There are no text boxes here, right? There are text boxes because it's a template. So it's there. When you hit add recipient and you do pre-tagged roles, always do pre-tagged roles. Hopefully everybody heard that part. Always do pre-tagged roles. I'm gonna say it 3 times. Always do pre-tagged roles. Because when we create the templates, we create them as agent, and then it would be me because I always just use myself. But then your buyer or your seller, again, always use myself, but you would be using your people. And this room would have your person in it according to how you have your details filled out. So make sure your details are accurate. And then you would hit add selected. And it will auto-populate the needs to sign. So everybody that you select will be needs to sign. And then it will tell you who the person is and their email address that it's going to. And then this is where you can also change their order. If you have 2 buyers, you want to make sure that I don't know, maybe the wife is more responsive speed-wise, or maybe you have 2 siblings who are selling a property and one sibling is kind of like the ringleader. However you want to work that, whoever the first signer needs to be, you can always arrange those accordingly. And say you don't need to sign anything, you just want to view it because you want to make sure that what you're sending to everybody else is accurate, you can switch to needs to view. And then that will allow you to view the document and make sure it's accurate before they receive it to sign. And that also allows you to have an opportunity to void it. If you do find something that is wrong with it after you view it and you're like, oh, totally forgot to write that thing in there, you can void it and then start a new envelope. So just know that that is also an option. As I always say, you want to name the envelope. So we're going to say 2 blank addendums. So the reason you want to name your envelope is because you don't want 15 envelopes that say please Docusign, because you won't know which one has what in it unless you know exactly what day and what time you did something. What up?
Pro tip, what I always do, like I just did a file this morning, and yes, name the envelope, and I will put who I'm sending it to. So contract docs to T&L, title and lender, or levy estate to buyer. And then that way it'll show up when you go into your envelopes. It'll say like who signed what, or did I send that to them? I can't remember. And then you can
sweet deal. So Jalen said that as her pro tip, what she does is she says blank addendum, and then she says, oopsie, I accidentally unnumber locked myself. She says buyer. And if she's sending, say, the contracts for the title and lender, she'll put T&L here. So that way she can see who she has sent things to and who she hasn't when she's looking at her list of, hold on one second, that's my phone. Okay, sorry about that.
Or also, if it like is what they say and it needs the agent's signature, I'll do whatever it is to who is needs signature.
Or comma whose signature, like if she needs Marcy to sign it or something like that. So both very good ideas. And then down here for your email subject, this is what the email for them to sign it will say. So again, like Jalen was saying, if you want to make sure that you're writing, this is, you know, blank addendums, or this is your contract packet, or this is your lead-based paint information, whatever it is that you're sending in this envelope, this is what your client is going to see as an email subject. So you want to put that there, and then also you can put in a message. I don't know if any of you have actually been a signer of Docusign, but what it does do is it kind of scrolls down to where you have to sign. So if it's 5 pages and you only have to sign on the last page, it will just jump right to the bottom, and then you have to scroll back up, right? So you may want to, if it's a first-time home buyer or somebody who's not familiar with how Docusign works, just let them know that it's going to jump to the signature line, but please make sure you're scrolling back up to read the information that is provided, and it includes this. Because not everybody is familiar with that, and they're like, oh, I don't want to mess anything up, so I'm not gonna, I don't want to touch it. So just make sure that you're doing that, and just, it's also a good idea just in general to tell them what you are sending them. Say, I'm sending you these 2 blank addendums where you requested the refrigerator and you requested blah, blah, blah. So you just want to make sure that, what's that?
Okay, Marcy was asking about in this email message. Is it possible to add an email signature? In at least like auto.
Is it possible to add an email signature as part of this email message? Like auto. You know, I would have to look at the settings. I feel like that there is some type of automated signature that goes along with the Docusign emails, and it's probably something that is set up for you in the settings section, because you can, in your documents themselves, set it up so that way your license number and things like that default in every time you send a document, but you have to go into the settings to do that. So I'm sure there's also perhaps an email signature that goes along with that, but that one I'd have to look up. I'd have to actually look and see. But like I said, I know that there's ways that you can preset your settings. That way every time Marcy's account sends a thing, Marcy's license number and name and all that stuff auto defaults into the documentation. But I don't know if there's an email signature that's automated. I have to look at that one. You can also copy an envelope or delete. Obviously, deleting would delete it, but you can copy it as well. Sometimes I find that that is helpful when you're troubleshooting something. If you're like, I don't know if this is going to work before you do something, sometimes it's helpful to copy it so you don't lose everything that you've already done and then have to start over. So that is actually very helpful. And then you're going to hit next once you've determined what all that is going to say. And when you hit next, it's going to load those 2 blank addendums. And my boxes are gone. What happened to my boxes? My boxes are gone. Oh, wait. No?
It only does the signature part of it. When you have it assigned to present roles, it'll do the signature and date for the fill in.
I didn't do it. Okay, so I think I know what happened. So apparently, if you actually go into the templates section and you click on the share with me and Jaylyn puts in her license number, it will automatically default Jaylyn's license number into everybody who uses the share with me template. And what I think happened is that somebody filled it out with their client information and went back and deleted it so their client information wouldn't keep pulling up to everybody else's Docusign, and what they did was they deleted the text boxes. So I will go back in and add them. But these will have text boxes automatically. However, if you don't have text boxes and you go to use this form, you just have to add them in. It shouldn't take too much. It'll just, this would say purchase or listing depending on what you're working on. And then
don't take too much time adding your text boxes, because I'll take that logo off and then you'll probably have to do it again.
Okay, no worries. So then you would put in your people, and then your address or your property description if it's land. And then this is something that I recommend because I've had a lot of issues with it with the forms that Docusign has put in for us automatically. Do a single box for your paragraphs. So like I was using the example that yesterday or last week, yesterday was Sunday. So Friday I was helping someone with a very long legal paragraph that they needed to include as part of their contract request. And in doing so, Docusign for the form did line by line, and so we couldn't copy and paste that verbiage because it was not only quite lengthy, so there was more verbiage than there was lines, but also in order to make most of it fit, we had to like shrink it down to really, really, really itty bitty so that way you couldn't really even see it. And we didn't quite know where it was cutting off. So every time we did that, we'd have to recut and paste everything because we didn't know where the lines were going to cut off. So it was really a nightmare. So we ended up just basically deleting it and putting a single text box. And then once we had, I am up to no good. Okay. So once you have whatever your phrasing is going to be, you can do your formatting. Again, this is how we did it the other day. So that way it is narrow or larger, or I just am partial to Georgia. Not the state, mind you, although the peaches are delicious. But I do, whatever you want your text font to be. And then you can also make it smaller. Let's see, that's the same. You can make it smaller so that way it fits, or larger if it's somebody who can't really see too great. Like I am up to no good. Okay, so you can also bold or italicize, I know words, and underline. There's also an option for you to change color. I don't know why you would want to change the color of a document, but it is an option. Like, I'm not 100% sure why you would do it on a legal document. Most of these are going to be black and white anyway, so I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Jaylyn said something about if somebody does a correction on a TRR, or you're like going back and forth and you're going to redline something, so to speak, they physically put a line through it and then change it to red so you know that it's been null and voided, which is altogether plausible. But just know that these formatting options are here, and you can use them as you so choose when creating these. Now, by default, like I said before, we have the pre-tagged roles, so these signatures will automatically show up. And see, and this isn't even in the right place. It's so strange. I think somebody got their hands on my template. But anyway, these will auto default here, so that way you can just switch between the people. Now, like I said, I'm only person who needs to sign, so I'm in. But if you had two buyers, you would have a drop down with a second buyer here in a different color, and that second buyer's signature stuff would show up. Our templates are pre-made and laid out for two buyers, two sellers. So if you do have a third person and you need them to sign, all you have to do is click on this and you can drag and drop more signatures for the third buyer or seller, depending on who you're working with. So you can always add them in. It gets a little wonky, so to speak, but it is doable. And then
Tiffany, I'm sorry, how did you add a third person?
you just go over here and you hit the signature line, and you basically just kind of add them in.
You just keep, are they going to be in the drop down on the far left?
Yes and no. So how it works is our templates are pre-formatted for two. So you can add 3 signers.
Right.
You can add 3 signers, but only 2 of the signature spots would show up. So you would have to pick the third person and then hit signature and then add the.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, no problem.
And this is a dumb question. I thought the system would timestamp. I have been, because I'm paranoid, I have been adding the signature and the date signed fields both. So is that the way you need to handle it?
Yes, this date signed right here is the one that gives you like the down to the millisecond or whatever it is. It's like a crazy long date and time stamp. That's this one here. And then your sign, your signature box.
And if I didn't include the date signed box, it would not give me a date stamp at all.
Correct. It's only going to show up as a date if you have a date signed. It will show up on your certificate, but not on the document. If that makes sense. Like your certified document that you get when something is signed, it will show up there.
Right.
It would not be on the actual document.
For the contract purposes, when they do the signature, I've always put date signed field as well as the signature field because I'm paranoid, and it sounds like that's the correct way to do it. Okay.
Yes, that is how you should be doing it. And there are some funky things that you can do with text boxes, like making them into a, let's see, into a like social security number or an email or a date. That being said, I don't recommend doing that because some of them get very particular. Like if you do a date and you do backslashes and it's only formatted for the like hyphen slashes, it will reject your date. So I don't recommend doing those. If you are looking for a date on your contracts for contract purposes, I would just always use the date signed. I would also not recommend doing that for like money because sometimes it gets finicky with commas and periods when you're doing your 0, things like that. So it is an option if you are comfortable and you are you know, willing to work with it, to know how it works properly for when you're using it. That is an option as well. However, I would just recommend staying with the date signed.
Okay. And how did you delete? It looked like you had a hotkey or something to delete a field.
No, I just clicked on it and hit the delete button on my keyboard.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Yep, and so, yeah, anything that I do is just delete. There are shortcuts though. Hold on. There's a little button down here below the send or back button. There's a shortcuts. And that will tell you if there is shortcuts to doing something so that way you don't have to stress out about some stuff. See, in this one, it shows you delete is just delete, but copy paste, those are super helpful because Docusign doesn't necessarily let you paste with the right click into a document. So like that paragraph I was talking about from Friday, we highlighted, you have to do Control-C and then Control-V to get the full verbiage. That's how we did that. So that's helpful. Also, you can save, cancel, anything like that. These are shortcuts for them. So they're down here if you do want to know if there's a shortcut to do a particular action when you're in here. And Sherry already said she's going to be sending this in to hopefully have this in as a form. I've tried once or twice and there's just been some weirdness with Docusign. I guess there's certain nuances and legalities around different forms and having rights to use certain forms, and it's all just really confusing. So we're hoping to get this one in there. It's like it is a template right now.
It's the logo at the bottom, the instant forms or whatever logo. And then some of the boxes are covering up some of the words on it. So once we clear that up, they'll be fine with it.
Yeah, so we are working on getting that as a form that would be accessible in your documents tab for you to use. But at this point, it is just a template in your envelopes. That being said, should you decide that there is a certain verbiage or a phrase or an item that you include in every contract. I'm going to use Lori Gregory as an example because I just know that she always uses this certain statement about termite inspection or termite damage being treated prior to close. Whatever her actual phrasing is, she does it in every single contract she writes. And she was getting frustrated because she had to make it a Google Doc, and then she'd have to, every time she was writing a contract, open her Google Docs and go in and copy and paste this paragraph and put it in every single time. She's like, it's like a waste of a few minutes of my time to do that. So what she did was she chose to do I think it's a buyer packet or a buyer offer packet, I think is what it was called. Anyway, so she made it in her templates where she went through, she added all the boxes where she needs the boxes to be added. She was able to put in her and Jonathan's information because she obviously works with her husband. And so she did all those things. She put in that termite inspection, and she doesn't put that in her documents. Because it's a template, she puts it in her envelopes and sends it out for signatures. And she does that with every one of hers because she doesn't want to take away the time. So she took the day and just sat in our training room, and Crystal was still agent services at the time, and her, myself, and Lori just kind of sat and did templates for like 3 hours straight and got all of her pamphlets and her packets the way that she wanted them, and she just uses them in her templates or in her envelopes as a template. So there are certain things that if it's something that you specifically for your business would like to have on repeat, so to speak, that would be a template. And we are going to have a templates class, so those are options. What's that?
So does it like upload as like one document in there, or is it multiple?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You add the packet and it comes up as multiple documents in the envelope.
Change out the residential sales or like land one.
You can do change outs when you're doing the templates. However, it would just be easier on you to just have multiple templates that are packets, one for land, one for residential, one for VA. If you have different types of sales that you do on a regular basis, it would probably be better for you to just have multiple template packets that are inclusive or exclusive of either. With that being said, you don't have to start over every time. One of the things we're going to talk about in templates class is that you can actually duplicate an entire template and it will copy all of the things that you've already done. So all you have to do is add a form or take out a form, and then you would only have to do the work for that one particular section. Jalen is very excited about the templates class. But that is next week. Does anybody have anything else about envelopes that you want to discuss? Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
So for the recipients,
For the recipients, continue.
okay, your title and lender people, and then adding them to the room or something like that? Is that possible so that I don't have to memorize every single title person?
Okay, so title companies and lenders all require some form or documentation for your sales and contracts and whatnot. So you can, under add recipient, add a room participant, which would allow you to search for people. You have to already have them in order for them to be searchable. So you would have to have the contacts added. I'm going to save and close this and go to my contacts. So this is a directory, which means there are a lot of people in here, and I don't know who they are. It's like everybody. So what I would do is go under your address book and you add a contact, and I would put in your lender, put in your title, who would be somebody else that you would, an inspector, whoever you're going to be doing a lot of your business with, especially if it's a preferred lender. And I would get them added here. And then, are you okay? Oh, okay. I was like, oh dear. And then, let's see, we'll just go to this one. And then for my people, I have just these two, right? However, I think that you can invite.
Do you want to do that? Okay, so
I don't think you want to invite them though. You just want to add them to an envelope, right?
I just want to be able to auto-populate them and add them as a, I don't want them to see all of the other documents necessarily.
Form participant. So I have, okay, so Daisy Bravo is my buyer. I have my own self because I'm the owner of the room. And then I have a default admin. This is for room contacts. So I don't think I can. You know what? I'm gonna have to look and see if you can add them in, because the only other option that I could think of is maybe, there it goes. Because I know I have Kelly Davis in here.
Right, yeah, and I have like, and it's bizarre because sometimes I'll be adding recipients and like Paul Edwards, one of our preferred lenders, I'll type his name in like the name section. I'll start typing Paul and it'll pull him up, and I'll go tab down to like where his email is, and I just have to type like the first letter and his populates. But like our people at Cleveland County, that doesn't work, or like a lot of other, or like Melissa and Tamara at Lincoln. Tamara's populates, but Melissa's won't.
So for auto population for lenders and title people, yeah, because you don't really want to add them to the room because that gives them access to your documents. I mean, it gives them access to everything because they're invited to your room. However, this is where it's supposed to allow you to add people in. And I don't 100% know why my contacts aren't coming up in there.
And then like I went to the address book like you were saying, it has a bunch of different people in here. So like usually like our clients, it has Andy Stanfield, he's a lender, Angela Engelkin.
So your lenders are in your contact book.
In there, but like it doesn't, and I haven't started searching, so I don't know, maybe if I try that. But
so I'm not 100% sure about that. I know that, yeah, I know that that was the way that it was told to us that that would work, is that you add them in as a contact in your address book and that they will populate. Now, the reason that it's not doing that may be that it was something that they disabled while they're working on something else to connect with Command properly. That has been happening because Docusign and Command are both kind of labbing it, so to speak. We're constantly in changes and updates and things of that nature. So it was working that way, and then it has stopped. So I was able to do that, gosh, months ago because it was pre-COVID. So I'm saying like maybe back in January when we were messing with this, that was how that worked, is that you just added them as a recipient and then you would be able to pull them up from the address book because you had access to your whole address book. I'm not quite sure when that went away. However, like I said, it's constantly in a process of updates and adding features and things of that nature. So it's probably something that they disabled in order to get something else prioritized, and that it will be coming back. I know that they do that frequently in both Docusign as well as Command. For the most part, the details have been syncing properly, especially for listings. I have better success with listings than with buyers. Sometimes my buyers don't sync over 100%, but for listings, definitely I have good success with those. I think because you select your KWLS listing, and so that is what it's syncing to. So I'm thinking that that's why those update or the details sync so well for listings versus buyers. And a lot of times what's happening in your details is where everything else in the DocuSign room defaults out of. So with that being said, I don't think. Just looking to see if there was a place to put who your lender or anything would be in the details. I don't think so. Because like closing details, you would want to know who your title company is, right? You would want to put that, but that doesn't look like there's a way to put them in there either. So I don't see a way to do that. It is supposed to default out of your address book. So Docusign. You're an expert though. You don't
I
need this
need
class.
that, don't I?
You're not in class, sir.
No, I don't know. You got holes in your pants. You know
Leave extra in
that? She
So,
also has
does
expansion joints on her bib overalls. I think I need to do this better.
probably, because I was just going to ask if there are any questions before we end.
I see.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap this up? I will be investigating said defaulting of addresses because, like I said, that's supposed to come right from your address book. That's how they told us that. I believe it was, gosh, it might have even been Family Reunion that that information was supposed to happen that way. But it, just like anything else, there could have been a speed bump that they hit. So hopefully that will be up and running soon. Anybody?
Tiffany, I have a question on an upcoming training class.
Sure.
On Wednesday, you guys are hosting a marketing workshop. Since it's a workshop, is that an in-person?
No, it's not. It doesn't necessarily have to be. I'm going to be basically going over designs like marketing, showing you where your Facebooks should be connected and how to do scheduling of posts through Command for your Facebook if you have it connected. But that's basically all we're going to be talking about. I have for July's calendar a campaigns class that's going to be going on, and that's going to be taught by Heather because she is constantly running campaigns for open houses and things of that nature. So I'm not going to be discussing campaigns, but I'm going to be discussing everything that you need to do to get to the campaign section, meaning your designs and whatnot.
Okay, and do you recommend scheduling your post through command instead of just through Facebook? Does it give you a better presence if you do it through command?
I don't think that
I know campaigns are superior.
we only just got the ability to schedule stuff through command
Okay.
maybe 2 weeks ago. So I don't know that there has been any numbers really that suggest that it's better. It's just
Okay.
less. The difference is that because you're already in command, you can schedule that post and you don't have to do a few extra steps. So it's mainly just like a time saving activity. And also it does show you a calendar. So say that you have it scheduled and you also have a broker's open scheduled and you've got 2 or 3 other things and you have marketing for all of those things scheduled through command. When you look at your calendar, it will show you have a scheduled post on this day, this day, this day, instead of going through Facebook and having to like scroll down and like look to see what's going on when. So it's just another tool, again, just another tool in the tool belt, so to speak. And then designs, we're going to go over designs because there's been a couple updates. One of them is really, really awesome, just
Okay. Thank you. Good class today. I learned some more little things, which is why I keep coming.
Little nuggets, that's what it's all about.
Yes. Every dang time it's like, oh, I know how to do this. Oh, nope, there's a nugget. There's a nugget.
Well, I'm glad that you got something out of it. And just like any other class, if any of you have any questions about this stuff or other stuff and you need to help or anything like that, you just reach out to me, email or text me. I'm a really good texter. All right, in that case, I'm going to stop sharing and I will see you guys later, okay?
Bye. Thank you, Tiffany.
You're welcome.
Thank you.